Today on CityCast Nashville, we've got the 411 on our local 311, otherwise known as Hub Nashville. It's your one-stop shop to connect with our city's government. You can report downed trees, fix potholes, get a new trash can, complain about your local Airbnb, help your neighbors, and give compliments to people who deserve them. Hub Nashville Director Aaron Williams is here to make sure y'all know all the ways that you can make our city better via phone, website, and app. Operators are standing by, and we want to empower you to make a difference. It's Thursday, November 14th. I'm your executive producer, Whitney Pasterek, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Aaron, for anyone here in Nashville who isn't already lucky enough to know what Hub Nashville is, can you give us the quick explanation of this amazing service?
Sure. This is Nashville's 311 option, which is your path to all things metro government that are non-emergency. So information or services, if you don't need police, fire, medical dispatch, or mental health dispatch urgently, you can come to us and we'll help you.
All right. And how does it work?
So you can call Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and get to our Hub Nashville contact center reps who are fabulous and helpful, and they will submit a request for you.
Am I calling 311?
You can call 311, or if you're, say, traveling out of town, if you're driving to Franklin, you can call 615-862-5000 and still hit us without accidentally hitting a different 311 in a different area. Or you can go, preferably, to hub.nashville.gov or to the Hub Nashville 311 app. And that's 24/7 available to you to submit requests and check on ones that you've previously submitted while logged in. You'll have access to any updates that are coming back from metro departments there in your account.
And what sorts of things can we submit through this? Obviously, we know potholes. I would assume noise complaints.
Sure. Construction noise, non-noise, construction noise, so party noise, all of that's in there.
Right.
Any property violations, things that go to codes, concerns about a tree or overgrowth in the right-of-way. We get a whole lot of improperly parked vehicles where cars may have stopped in the bike lane. Any number of trash recycling concerns or questions. Let's see, I'm looking at the system right now. WeGo comments or concerns about their access right or regular service. Permit info, there's an option for homelessness if you are experiencing it yourself or request assistance for someone else. Anything in Metro that's non-emergency, and if you don't see it, just go to the bottom of the page and it says, don't see what you're looking for, submit here. And that will come to us, to me and the leadership team, and we'll figure it out for you.
Amazing. You said codes. And it occurs to me that as someone who, Aaron, as you well know, I have an inordinate amount of knowledge about Metro Nashville and how it should work in my brain. But not everybody listening to this podcast, and certainly not everybody in this city, has any idea of what codes means. How do I even know if something is a codes violation, and who is codes?
Right. Good thing is you don't have to know. If you come to the Hub, we've tried to sort everything by service rather than by department. So you don't have to know anymore whether something is done by Department of Transportation or the codes department. It doesn't make any difference to you. You just click on the service you need. So if you know someone has a junk car in their yard, you just go report that. That does flow to codes. A big chunk of what codes does, besides permitting and building and safety, they also do property violations. That's a lot of what we handle. You know, tall grass, house in disrepair, different kinds of issues in your neighborhood. And you can report those through the Hub, and that runs to the codes department. And those are long process requests. So we've tried to build out extra steps in our notification process. So you'll get a notification, again, if you submit while you're logged in, and we have an email to reach you when an inspector goes, and you'll hear when an abate notice is issued. So you have some extra steps in the process besides just submit and close.
So let's walk through an example of how this works in real life, and let's use the one that I most recently bothered you about. I woke up one day here in my neighborhood of East Nashville, which is consistently under construction, and all of a sudden there was a bunch of dudes with a couple backhoes blocking the entire street while digging a giant hole in the middle of it. There was not a flag crew. There were no signs. We'd been given no warning that our entire street would be blocked by these individuals digging a giant hole in the middle of it. And I put it in Hub. What happened after that? How did that work?
That one went to the Nashville Department of Transportation, and they sent an inspector out quickly And let's see, I'm pulling up the notes so I don't misquote. They were on site, added fines for both days, and notified the supervisor and the office from the company of the issue.
Y'all sent people out pretty much instantaneously. And the thing that I love the most about what you just said is that there were fines. Like, there was a consequence. I feel like a lot of times people here in Nashville feel very demoralized about all the things that are happening around them. Like, things just happen to us and there's no recourse. But that is, in fact, something that Hub Nashville can provide.
Yeah, we can definitely document. So the department decided the appropriate action, and we give them a path to get that information back to you.
We're not necessarily just using Hub Nashville to stop bad things. In some cases, we're using it to create good things. There was a joke going around earlier this year about, quote, Hug, H-U-G, Nashville, in which people are giving compliments. What are some other ways in which people can improve their community using Hub Nashville?
I mean, I think anytime you report something that needs to be addressed or looked at or checked, that improves our community. Every pothole is someone else is driving through it. It seems like small stuff, but it's not when it busts your tire. So when you take a second to report that or report that stray dog that, needs some help, or whatever the issue is that you see happening in your neighborhood, I think it is helpful. But we definitely do have the new Hug Nashville, as Mayor O'Connell likes to vex me by saying. He knows that despite all of my smiley faces and exclamation points in my email, I'm far too grumpy for such a light name. Anyway, I've always been hesitant about doing the compliments and suggestions because my fear was we would get a lot of suggestions that were really just, I suggest you do your job, or I suggest you don't do this awful thing. And we are getting some of that, but it's worth the other good things that we're hearing.
Absolutely. Who has gotten the most compliments so far?
NDOT is probably the most. Gotten a few for the construction folks downtown on 2nd. We got one that the wildflowers at the Hermitage Library are lovely. That was nice to hear.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So there have been a few good ones that have come in.
Does it ever become tiresome? I know you just said you were grumpy, to sit there all day and be the repository for every single person in the city's complaints about life in the city?
I don't get to complain anymore because I don't have to do the every call anymore. I am super lucky to have really good people who do that all day, every day. And yes, that's rough. It's a rough job. I did it for a lot of years here in the mayor's office, taking all the constituent calls. And it can wear on you. And they are on the phone from 8 to 5 with 15 seconds between each call. It is a rough day and it's a lot on them. So if you're calling 311, be nice. They've earned it. They're good people and they're working for you.
Yeah, absolutely. What is maybe your most recent feel-good story other than saving my street? What's your most recent feel-good story about something that Hub Nashville was able to accomplish?
Let me think. I guess probably one of the most recent ones, I'm looking back for an email. We got a lovely email about our newest hire who has been kind of jumping in and trying to tackle some of the complaints that are coming in and escalated issues. And got a very nice email back from someone that she had reached out to. I won't go into his issue, but it was a standard trash thing, like, that happens. And she handled it super well. And so I was super proud of her.
It's really annoying every time I talk to you. I feel like there's a covert government operation going on. Like, we can't know about this person's specific trash issue. All right, this is great. Erin, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dig a little bit more into this service, how it can be used, how maybe it shouldn't be used, and talk about other ways to come together as a city. And we're back with Erin Williams of Hub Nashville. You've been there for what, 25 years? Is that what you told me last time?
22.
22. Just handling customer service for Metro, essentially.
Pretty much. I've been in the mayor's office. I started in the mayor's office of neighborhoods and spent most of my time there I was technically a neighborhood liaison, but that's constituent services plus some trainings and extra programming. So yeah, basically constituent stuff the whole time.
So you've definitely seen the ways that people have used the mayor's office and things in government to help one another. But I'm sure that you've had experience in times when people are unfortunately using things like codes to perhaps weaponize them against their neighbors. You mentioned things like homes in disrepair, junk cars in the yard. And I know the Nashville Scene reported on this a few years back about people who were using those types of complaints as ways to drive their neighbors out of their homes. And I also know that developers have sometimes used those things. What is an appropriate time to express concern for your neighbors using something like Hub Nashville? And what, in your opinion, is an appropriate time to maybe just go talk to your neighbor and see if you can help them yourself?
I'm speaking for something I shouldn't be speaking towards. This is a codes director question, but I will say it's always better to go talk to your neighbor first, in my opinion. Go see if they need help cutting that grass. Go see if there's something you can help with to move the car first before just submitting a request. Now, if there's, if you have an issue of concern about safety, fine. An inspector will go out and do that, have that conversation. But yeah, my advice would definitely be have a conversation with your neighbor, know why it's a problem, and then you can make a decision.
We just had an interview with Judy Tackett earlier today that's going to air sometime in December. And she was talking about the ways that sometimes people have used city services to weaponize them against our unhoused neighbors.
The way we have our homelessness requests routed, you're not telling on somebody. If you go to our homelessness request, you have an option to either request help for yourself, and that will put you in the queue for our social services caseworkers to assist. The other option is you're requesting help for someone else, and that sends a request to the queue for the Office of Homelessness Services outreach team. So either way you go, you're going to find assistance and not punishment.
That's wonderful to know for sure. And I think what a great option other than doing what I sometimes know folks' knee-jerk reaction is, which is to just call the cops. This is a wonderful alternative.
Right. And certainly we get a fair amount of that too, but it doesn't necessarily come in through that request. I think folks who may view that as a crime may be more apt to report it more in that realm rather than in a homelessness realm. They may consider it, whatever the crime they're concerned about, they'll report it through that path rather than through homelessness.
Let's talk about real crimes. Let's talk about how Hub Nashville has helped address the Airbnb problems here within the city of Nashville. You have a robust framework for helping people deal with that. And I bring it up because our host, Marie, actually has Airbnbs on either side of her. And when I told her she could report that to Hub, she was like, oh my God, really? Talk a little bit about how that gets handled should someone be nuisanced by an inappropriate Airbnb.
Sure. It's like anything else. If you submit a request, we run it to the folks at Codes that assist with that and who manage those permits, and they treat it like they would a phone call.
This is something I assume has grown in necessity over the last 6 to 8 years.
Goodness, it's been a while that we've been talking about Airbnb. It actually seems less of a topic lately than it used to be because it was new, and I think people adjust. Just like scooters, people get more used to things, and you might report it when it's a noticeable change in the everyday, but you kind of get accustomed to what your neighborhood might look like. But we certainly encourage folks to report things that need to be reported so the people who are managing these permits understand the reality for the neighborhood.
Yeah, we don't have to just be frogs in a pot of boiling water, folks. We can choose to jump out of the pot. Are there any other customer service improvements coming from Metro? I mean, now that Mayor Freddie's got the transit referendum out of the way, I'm sure focus is turning to some other ways to improve life around here. Have you heard wind of anything?
Well, I'm focusing on what we have coming.
Tell me.
Part of that, I think, touches on, Nashville.gov in general. We have a UI UX, a user experience review underway for Nashville.gov, and they've tacked on Hub Nashville too. So we get kind of help us go through and see what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. Because, frankly, we built it all very quickly. We build this every day. We're adding new things. And maybe the language isn't consistent, or maybe things don't really make sense anymore, or isn't the clearest place to put something. So we're going to have some assistance with that. And we actually do have a current survey up. If you go to hub.nashville.gov, right up at the top in the banner, it'll say, please take our survey. We'd love to hear from you. That goes straight to the UI UX committee, and then they'll give us their feedback once they finish their review. And this is certainly what I would rather hear is from all of y'all.
And I don't think anyone would complain if the Nashville.gov infrastructure became slightly less 1997.
I don't know anything about a website, so I'm not getting into it.
I'm just kidding.
Don't make me dog my friends at IT.
No, it's not their fault. My gosh. I don't think there's a single municipal website on the planet Earth that isn't completely retrograde.
And to be fair, ours is the same as it's been since we launched. So, I can't say anything either. We are eager to hear what we could be doing better.
Excellent. What a wonderful use of Hub Nashville is to let Hub Nashville know what Hub Nashville needs to be doing better. That's fantastic.
Yeah, tell us.
I think we're in a time now where people are really looking around for ways, we're a hyper-local podcast and people are looking around for hyper-local ways to help and using Hub Nashville to help each other, whether it be getting the signal at the end of our road to maybe have a slightly longer green so more people can get through the intersection, or like you mentioned, assisting our unhoused neighbors. All of that's great. What would you say to people who feel like they don't have the power to make a difference in this city?
Maybe take a minute and go check out Open Data. This is kind of a soft launch thing that I haven't even talked about yet. We've just added a new Tableau dashboard of Hub data that anyone can sort through on our About Hub page on Nashville.gov. Just our little interactive dashboard. You can see what's happening in your neighborhood, and you can see the data that comes from all those requests that you submit. Every data point is weighted the same. I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. Half of our stuff comes in anonymous. It just doesn't make any difference. It's a data point that drives decisions about how our money is spent. It's definitely worth the quick amount of time to throw weight behind what you think is important. So the things that you notice because they're important to you, make sure that we notice by submitting and giving us that data point.
And this applies probably equally to people who have lived here their whole lives or people who just got here.
Absolutely. We love to hear from them. We've really kind of made it up, and we've learned over the years from other cities and other mistakes. We've learned things that we could do better, but we've learned the most from our users and from suggestions and feedback. And we love to hear when things could go a different way or be done differently. And we're always happy to share that with departments too.
Last question. What is the most recent Hub Nashville request you yourself have submitted?
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to remember. It was for somebody else. All of the ones I submit are like counselor or somebody sends me a problem and I have to resubmit something that's gone through. Truthfully, probably a trash issue.
Yeah, there's always a trash issue.
We provide lots and lots of people trash service.
I had a friend recently who had a neighbor move out in the apartment complex, and they had thrown all of the trash from their move out into her recycling bin. And so recycling wouldn't pick it up and trash wouldn't pick it up because it was recycling. And it just sat there for like a month. And finally I said, hey, have you tried Hub Nashville? And she said, no. And then I just emailed you, Erin. I didn't even put it in the system.
And really, there are times when that's totally fine. Not every issue is easily routed. So some things get kind of stuck in between. Does this department do it or does that department do it? And when that happens, call us or respond to that closure email that you'll get from hub@nashville.gov and say, this is not done. Let us know or email me directly. Erin.Williams@Nashville.gov. We will look it up for you. We'll figure it out.
Well, I want to give you a big hug, Nashville, for joining us today.
Oh, God.
Sorry. And I just really want to empower. I know a lot of our listeners knew that this existed already, but I just want to empower anybody who maybe didn't know about it, or even those of you who are aware, get in there and find out ways that Hub Nashville, I almost said hug again, that Hub Nashville can help you help yourself and help your neighbors as we go into this holiday season. Thank you, Erin. We are thankful for you and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Holler if you need me.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. In the meantime, y'all take care of each other and call Hub Nashville if you need help.